In April 2026, a request was made within the Federal Bureau of Investigation that had nothing to do with a counterterrorism raid or a criminal investigation. According to investigative reports, members of a security detail requested breaching equipment. These are heavy-duty tools that SWAT teams use to break down reinforced doors. They did not need these tools to capture a fugitive. They reportedly needed them to reach their own director, Kash Patel. Reports suggest that Patel had been unreachable behind a locked door and his security detail had been unable to wake him. This incident was not an isolated technical failure. It was part of a series of allegations involving what colleagues described as obvious intoxication and unexplained absences. The man who leads the most powerful law enforcement agency in the world was reportedly incapacitated during official business. This situation matters to you because when leadership inside federal law enforcement becomes unstable, the public cannot rely on the safety or the stability of the country. This is a story about the intersection of power and the use of federal resources. From the use of government aircraft to transport personalized liquor to a $250 million legal war against the press, the situation at the Bureau has reached a breaking point. We are looking at a shift from an agency of quiet professionalism to what some insiders now call a personal protection racket. The tension began to peak when an exposé from The Atlantic was published. Staff writer Sarah Fitzpatrick detailed 24 separate sources who raised alarms about the conduct of Kash Patel. The allegations were specific. They described a director who was frequently drunk in public to the point of obvious intoxication. These incidents reportedly occurred at private clubs in Washington, District of Columbia, and Las Vegas, Nevada. The impact of this behavior was felt immediately within the Department of Justice. Official meetings were reportedly rescheduled because Patel was suffering from the effects of alcohol-fueled nights. For the rank-and-file agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, this created a massive double standard. The Bureau has a long-standing zero-tolerance policy for the misuse of alcohol. Seeing the director allegedly disregard these rules has been described by former agents as demoralizing. If these allegations are true, the implications for national security are severe. The director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation must be ready to respond to a crisis at any hour of the day or night. If a security detail cannot wake the director because of his level of intoxication, the chain of command is effectively broken. This creates a vacuum of leadership during moments when seconds matter. There is also the matter of financial and institutional costs. Reports suggest that cases of personalized bourbon were transported on official aircraft during government business. This means taxpayer resources may have been used to facilitate a personal branding exercise. Within the Bureau, the atmosphere has reportedly shifted from one of investigative focus to one of fear. The response from the White House has been complicated. Publicly, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has stated that President Donald Trump still has confidence in his director. However, private reports suggest the president is fuming. He is reportedly frustrated by the negative headlines and the Rambo-style videos Patel has posted of himself at Quantico. The president has described the situation as not a good look for a cabinet secretary. It appears the patience of the administration is wearing thin as the scandals continue to mount. To understand why this became a crisis, we must look at the specific details of the personalized bourbon stash. Patel reportedly travels with a supply of Woodford Reserve bourbon. These are not standard bottles. They are engraved with his name spelled as CASH with a $sign. They also feature the Federal Bureau of Investigation shield and the number 9. This number refers to his position as the 9th director in the history of the agency. These bottles have been used as a type of calling card. Patel has reportedly gifted them to both staff members and civilians while on official travel. For a traditionalist agency like the Federal Bureau of Investigation, this is unheard of. Former senior officials like John Sullivan have noted that no previous director would have distributed personally branded liquor. It represents a fundamental departure from the culture of the Bureau. The obsession with this boozy swag reportedly led to a major incident at the training facility in Quantico. During a training seminar involving athletes from the Ultimate Fighting Championship, a bottle of this personalized bourbon went missing. The reaction was not one of a professional administrator. Patel reportedly threatened to use polygraph tests on his staff to find out who had taken the bottle. This use of a high-level security tool for a personal grievance sent shockwaves through the agency. At this point, the story stops being about a drinking habit and starts being a question about whether federal institutions are being repurposed around personal loyalty. Kash Patel did not just deny the claims. He filed a $250 million defamation lawsuit against The Atlantic and Sarah Fitzpatrick. He called the report a collection of hit-piece lies and challenged the reporters to bring their checkbooks to court. However, the response went beyond a civil lawsuit. Reports from the news outlet MS Now suggest that the Federal Bureau of Investigation has launched a criminal leak investigation. This investigation is not looking for stolen classified documents. It is reportedly focused on identifying the sources who spoke to Fitzpatrick about the drinking habits of the director. This is a highly unusual move. Typically, leak investigations are reserved for matters of national security, not personal reputation. Sources within the Bureau indicate that agents are being pressured to take intrusive steps. This includes the potential seizure of phone records and running the names of journalists through federal databases. One agent reportedly told a reporter that they know they are not supposed to do this, but they fear for their jobs if they refuse. This has led to the accusation that the Bureau is being used as a personal protection racket for the man at the top. The paranoia within the office of the director was highlighted by an incident involving a computer login. In early 2026, Patel struggled to log into an internal system. Instead of assuming it was a technical error, he reportedly panicked. He began calling aides and allies, convinced that he had been fired by the White House. It turned out to be a simple technical glitch, but the incident revealed a deep level of insecurity. This paranoia has translated into a loyalty culture. Agents report that if they do not enthusiastically accept the personalized bourbon gifts, they fear they will be targeted for retribution. Furthermore, investigative journalists have uncovered past admissions from Patel that mirror the current allegations. In 2005, while applying for the Florida bar, Patel admitted to 2 prior alcohol-related arrests. One was for public intoxication in Virginia when he was a minor. The other was for public urination in New York City while he was a law student. Spokesperson Erica Knight has called these reports an attack intended to undermine the director. However, former analysts like George Hill argue that these behaviors represent a fundamental misunderstanding of the Bureau and its culture of quiet professionalism. When the leader of the agency is handing out liquor bottles while the employees are held to a zero-tolerance policy, the authority of the office is degraded. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is currently an agency in crisis. Morale is at a historic low, and experienced staff are reportedly being purged or are leaving because they no longer recognize the institution they serve. The standards that apply to every agent do not seem to apply to the director. This situation is a test for the current administration. President Donald Trump has historically backed his appointees, but the headlines are becoming a political liability. The legal battle is only beginning. As the defamation lawsuit proceeds, Kash Patel may be forced into the discovery phase. This would require him to answer questions under oath and potentially release records that he has so far kept private. At the same time, the criminal leak investigation into Sarah Fitzpatrick has drawn the attention of press freedom groups. They argue that this is a direct assault on the First Amendment. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is currently a black box. We do not know the full extent of the internal purges or the degree to which federal resources are being used for personal vendettas. What we do know is that the next time a national crisis occurs, the public will be wondering if the director is at his desk or if his security detail is once again searching for breaching equipment. In our next investigation, we will look at the broader shift in federal personnel and how the Department of Justice is being restructured from the inside out. Subscribe if you want to follow how these institutional changes are unfolding in real time. Across history, our picture of the government has changed, and we are following that transformation step by step.